Next speaker, again, this lady's been sort of fighting for the last 2.5 years and part of the rollback intervention group, and they never gave in the last 2.5 years. The other leaders I've seen come and go. I'd just like to welcome Barb Shaw.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me out onto your country. The intervention has brought such heartache to Aboriginal people. We suffer all the time. We've been suffering for a very long time. Like Richard is saying, there needs change. And to bring about change, we need to stand together. I wasn't in this fight alone. I had a lot of other people, like Richard said, people come and go. I've always had people come and go. But I've always had strong community leaders as well from different communities. I was actually inside my house when John Howard and Mel Bruff announced the intervention. They said that we were going to get our Centrelink payments, income managed, that the government was going to take over our land, and basically our rights were going to be taken, and we had no say in it. So I sat in my lounge room and I cried. What about all the old people out bush that have fought long and hard all their years to protect their country? I thought about Vincent Lingari, who walked off the cattle station for getting paid in rations. And here today, Aboriginal men of Ampilatwatja get paid by the basic card so they can cart rubbish to their dump. But in Ampilatwatja, just like Santa Teresa, they're only just going to be fixing the old shells, fixing the 4 walls, and that's it. They're not going to be stopping the overcrowding. They're not going to have single men's homes or single women's homes. We're all still going to be living together in one house. People in Alice Springs, they complain about how Aboriginal people come to our town. It's not their town. It belongs to the Ambandawa people, my great-grandmother's country. The non-Aboriginal people that live in that town, they say, oh, all these Aboriginal people come to our town and all they want to do is drink. All they want to do is fight. All they want to do is gamble. That's what they think. But we can do better. And the only way we can do better is if we stand together. And what we also need to do now is lobby other communities to do the same as what you have done. We'll keep fighting and struggling until we get what we want. That's all I have to say.
The next speaker I've got is this person, myself and Harry met last year and on our speaking tour, and they welcomed us. They took us to meet with the wharfies, speak with the wharfies, and to us that was really energising, eh? You know, it just again, it made me happy to hear the wharfies. Also, not only that, but the union's got a record of back in 1942 with Pilbara walk-off. They helped pull them up there again and pulling them out, and they wouldn't load any ships. Then again, they come on board with the Gringy walk-off, Wayville. Unions come on again and change the governments and the mindset of the public and the government to recognise people are, you know, Aboriginal people in this country are traditional owners, and all this country still belongs to them, because we've got no bill of sales to say we sold our country to the government in the last 200 years, nothing at all. So I'd just like to welcome Paul Mcaleer from MUA, and Paul can say a few words, and also he'll let you know exactly where the unions stand now and where they're standing with us.
Thanks, Richard. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and thank you very much for welcoming us here today. It's been a long relationship that the wharfies and seafarers and port workers have had with Aboriginal people, and we're incredibly proud of being able to stand side by side with Aboriginal people throughout the decades in many of your struggles that you've faced. Wharfies and seafarers and port workers have been downtrodden themselves. We understand hardship, we understand terrible laws, and it's been our unions and the progressive unions in general. I see a number of flags here today, the CFMEU, the LHMU, the AMWU, a number of unions coming together, and as we should come together. And it was a wonderful moment actually when both Richard and Harry came down to the waterfront. I think it really gave an understanding to people in Sydney, workers in Sydney, about what Aboriginal people in the communities out here are facing. Because all they've heard is the mass media, their reports, their false reports, their lies and deceit. And we never had the understanding that we should have. And it was only because Richard and Harry came and told us about your struggle that we came on board immediately. And we're very happy to come on board immediately. It's only been in a small way, but I hope it's an important way. And we'll continue to involve ourselves in your struggle. I think this walk-off is deeply symbolic. And it's incredibly important that this is a success. Because Aboriginal people need a success story. They need to be able to look towards a significant victory that they can look upon as inspirational, and this is inspirational. This story will be told not only in Sydney and on the wharves, but this story will be told around Australia and internationally now. And it's your story. And you'll be responsible for making sure that it's a success. But we'll be standing by you with that struggle. We've talked about developing unionism in the outback, and I think that's important as well. Aboriginal people need to come together in an organisation that's able to defend the rights and interests of working people. What's occurring out here with the ration card, the basic card, is an absolute disgrace. And it should never be the case that a country like Australia allows that to occur. And it's going to be people in the union movement, people in progressive political parties that must stand up and abolish this terrible, disgraceful system that's being applied to Aboriginal people. But that won't be just the case if this is a success. If they are successful in undermining your rights and taking away your dignity, it'll be transformed and transplanted right across Australia. And disadvantaged communities, disadvantaged people, people from oppressed races or communities will be stood over like they're trying to stand over you, and that's unacceptable as well. So the struggle must continue. We look upon this as an inspiration, and we'll be standing side by side with you in this struggle as much as we possibly can. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and always in struggle.
Thanks, Paul. Awak ngai. Raja ni ya. Kalau pergi lah, anjuran beri lah, no kan terang pun. Ya, teman. Ya. So that's good.